Welcome back, everybody. Glad to be with you again. And today's topic is how culture can make or break your business. And David, in my world, I hear about this word all the time. I think we're going to look at it from a little bit different angle today that I think obviously is very important, but kind of where has this become an important factor for you as you've looked at the business over the years?
I think that this is, in so many ways, one of the unspoken secrets of business success and failure.
Mm,
I really, really do. It is the thing that it's the heartbeat that drives a business forward or tears a business apart. I see
mm,
it all the time because if you have a business where people love and care about each other, where
mm.
I just love being here. I love being a part of this team. I love working with you guys. We have
Yeah,
so much fun. I love the work that we do. I think the work that we do is meaningful. How is that person going to show up and work for you?
right.
They're going to come with a great attitude. They're going to come with a great energy. They're going to approach their job. They're going to look for ways. How do we make things better?
Right.
How
They
do
have
I,
more of an ownership mindset when they're
right,
that vested, right?
right. And when the way they treat the customers now is they're looking at these customers. Oh, these customers are precious to us.
Hmm.
These customers are so valuable. They're so important. They're the reason we're here.
Right.
We're so glad to be able to work with you and to serve you and to help you and to do things for you to make life better for you. The customers aren't a chore; they're a joy,
Right.
and all of those things, and it just bleeds through. And think about the opposite.
Yeah.
How many business do you know that people are just there just to punch the clock?
Right.
I need to do this because I need a paycheck.
Hmm.
Wow, big difference.
Yeah.
And it drives the success or
And when
failure.
you walk into a place like that or engage a business like that, you feel that tension, right? You feel,
100%.
and I think you feel both, right? You feel the energy on one hand where you're like, I love going to that place or I love getting on those calls or whatever,
Right.
versus I have to, I don't want to, there's
Right.
dread or, this is the provider that I need to go to, but I hate going there, and this is the thing, right? Like, as a leadership coach, I hear a lot of leaders talk about culture a lot, right? I hear a lot of people, especially in the HR realm, they talk about, we need to build a healthy culture. We need this, blah, blah, blah. Culture, but nobody really often defines it. It's like a buzzword for a lot of businesses, and they're not really putting tactical steps into play to make their culture really that attractive culture that not just attracts the right kind of employees or team members, but also the right kind of customers, because that's also a big deal, right? Especially when we're building coaching and training businesses and you're working with clients more directly. You don't want miserable clients.
Right.
You want clients that you enjoy and that you truly are happy to see. And I think that's been one of the things that I've learned personally was, culture is about who I bring into my business also sets the culture for who else comes into my business. I look at it this way. I remember years ago thinking, if you go to a store and the employees are just kind of like you said, they're just barely there, they're punching the clock, whatever. You know who tends to bring in new employees to a company? Your current employees, because they tell their friends, they tell their connections, like, hey,
Yeah.
we've got jobs over here. So if that's a negative environment, if you have the wrong kind of people, they're just going to bring more of the wrong kind of people. If you have a great team
Or they're
and
going to tell their friends and family and other people they know, you don't work there. It's
right,
horrible.
yeah, they could turn them away, or they're going to bring.
And so that person could be a really good potential employee,
Right,
and they were just told that's awful here, stay away.
right.
So they go work somewhere else.
Yeah, there's a large corporation just down the street actually from where I live, and when I was kind of doing some research years ago about trying to maybe even connect with them for, offering my services, the reviews of that company online were terrible. And I'm like, well, that's not a place people were saying they want to go work. And then I knew some people that worked there and they pretty much echoed that. And then I heard about another big company that's been around our area for many, many years. And so I had lunch with somebody recently and they said, I used to work there. It was hell, like it was horrible here. The culture was terrible, that they'd spend millions of dollars to bring in consultants to help with culture and leadership things. And he's like, but nobody wanted to be there. They just, and so that's a reality, and that's what a lot of people, I think, honestly, I think that's what COVID kind of exposed to a lot of people when they got away from the unhealthy environment of the day to day in an office and they were working remotely and home. They
I
realized, hey,
don't
I
put
have
up
peace.
with it anymore.
Right, I have peace in my, it's like I don't want to go back to that.
Right. And I agree 100%. So let's talk a little bit about what is culture. Like,
Mhm,
let's get a good handle on that first. So, so culture to me is like, how do you treat people that work with you and for you, on people on
mhm.
your team? How do you treat them? Do
Yeah,
you treat them with respect? Do you hear their concerns when they have ideas on how to make things better? Do you listen to them? Are
mhm,
when they come in, or are they treated as inferior to you?
mhm.
And are you treated as underlings that are not important and they don't have value and they're not people that should be, you don't waste time on them.
Yeah,
They're lower level, they don't need to be bothered with. Do those people feel valued and respected?
mhm,
If they feel like, hey, my contributions are valued,
yeah,
I'm viewed as an important part of this team. They look at me and they appreciate what I do. They, thank me and they're grateful when I get things done well and on time. They love my contributions. They respect me as a human being. And as well, do they believe in the mission of what you're doing? Because every
mhm.
business at the end of the day has a mission that they're trying to achieve. There was a purpose for that business being started.
Yeah,
And sometimes when big corporations get going, a lot of that can get lost and it can just become about, we want to make money. Like, okay,
yeah,
wow, wow, wow. What a compelling mission that
yeah,
you've got going on there.
right,
That's all that is. That's it. That's the only thing that it is. And I understand that everybody needs to make money to survive. And if a
right,
business stops making money, it's a problem. But you have to have a bigger mission than that.
right,
Otherwise, no one wants to be there. No
right.
one's going to want to be there if the only reason they're there is to put $1 in their pocket.
Well, and
That has
the
to be big.
pressure from above, creeps
Right.
into, that culture, right, for the employees, and it's like all they feel like is it's, all my feedback from my manager, all the pressure, and the manager feels pressure from above him or her, and then they push that down onto the employees, and it becomes very unhealthy cycle.
Right. And this is what, we see all the time. And, this is the story of a company that I used to be, heavily involved in,
Mhm,
and this is one where we had a while, several years ago, I went through this exercise of the business that I was running and helping, me and another guy were running. And we were asked to do an exercise called a flywheel. And I
mhm,
don't know if you've ever gone through that exercise, but it's really a fascinating exercise to go through because it makes you go through your business and boil it down to its most essential elements. Like, what is the main things that cause your business to function and to work and to flow?
mhm,
And what are the things, like, what do you have to do? Everything hinges, and you got to have it down to like four things.
mhm,
These are the four things that we need to do and do well. And if we
mhm,
do those and we keep doing well, people are going to keep coming back. They're going to keep buying. They're going to keep being engaged in our business, and they're going to keep being customers. They're going to keep bringing more people over. And so that's where the idea of a flywheel comes in. Is it just like it keeps spinning, and you don't even have to do work after a while because the momentum of it, like,
right.
they're like, hey, you got to come over here. It's great over here.
It takes
But
more to disrupt the momentum than to get it
correct,
going at that point, right? Like,
correct.
you have
And
to do the hard work up front, but then once it gets going, it
right.
starts to take care of itself.
So when I created that and when I boiled it down and I understood it and realized it, I came to the realization that at the center of it all, what was truly driving all of the things that we had built? Because the things that we were built, were just programs and different things, and those were good, but they weren't the thing that was driving it. The thing that drove it all was the thing in the middle,
Mhm,
which was culture. And
mhm,
that was the very thing I put at the center of the flywheel because I said, this is the heartbeat of everything.
yeah,
The reason people are buying more programs, the reason people are repeat buyers, the reason people keep coming back and keep referring people and saying, you got to come over here, you got to come over here, because
right,
this is an amazing culture.
right,
This culture is unique. It's different. You feel valued, you feel appreciated, you feel cared for. you're learning, you're growing, you're getting better, you're all these things, your life is getting better over and over, and you're meeting all these amazing people who are like-minded and supporting and encouraging each other. This is great. And that was the flywheel that was in effect, and it was going and going and going. And then the guy that I was working with, unfortunately, decided to make a major shift in the culture. And instead of it making it all about the customers and all about making life an incredible experience for them, he flipped the culture to make it all about himself.
Right.
And forced a bunch of people out, including myself, and the business died. The entire business died, and it all came down to culture.
Yeah.
He shifted the culture away from a customer focused, customer centric, mission focused. We're going to create an incredible experience for these customers. We're going to create an incredible environment for them to be in, where they're feeling so valued, where they're feeling so important, where they're learning, they're growing, they're changing, their lives are improving, they're achieving goals, to one where we don't care about you anymore.
You're here for me. You're here to buy my things. Right. Well, don't you think too? I mean, you mentioned though, David, that products and services, are what were developed, but the culture is what made people want more of those things and to be involved. Don't you think a lot of entrepreneurs, we put so much emphasis on those products and services, and we don't even think about building a culture?
Yes, 100%.
100%. I think that's something to be careful of for people is, I want to write a book. I want to create a course. I want to go speak. I want to go train, whatever. And those are good things to do. But what's the heart? Like to your point, culture is the heartbeat behind it. When you talk about a big corporation that loses its way, and even a small business, like you were just talking about, it doesn't have to be this massive corporation to lose its way. But what happens is when you take your eye off what got you here, right? If you have a healthy culture that built it, and then you go, well, now that I've got this customer base, I'm just going to now basically just squeeze as much out of them as I can versus how can I serve them more and more in relevant ways to help them succeed and get their needs met. Right. The whole dynamic changes, and people feel that like quickly.
Right. And just think about it, because the thing that everything has to be kept in mind is what drives culture. Okay. Culture is leadership. It all comes from the top. And I hear this from people from time to time, is they will disparage certain groups of people. And one of the ones that gets picked on a lot in recent years has been millennials, who they're not hard workers. They're not engaged. They don't want to be a part of the team. And I'm like, sitting there going, I've worked with millennials. They're great.
Yeah.
They're great members of the team. They were some of the best people we had on the team.
Yeah.
That's strange. If all millennials are terrible and not hard workers, why were the ones we had so good?
You just found unicorns, David.
Well, I must have just found unicorns, I guess. But I'm just sitting here going, maybe it wasn't the millennials. Maybe it was you.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't want to work for you. Maybe they didn't buy into the vision that you had. Maybe you didn't treat them with respect. And when I talk to these people who complain about millennials, their attitudes toward them are horrible.
Right.
They have these terrible attitudes. They talk about them bad. They don't respect them. They don't have any good. I'm like, so how do you think they're going to react to you?
Right.
Do you think they're going to want to put in extra effort? Do you think they're going to want to do things for you? No. Right. They feel the negativity coming out of your pores.
Right.
And they don't want to be part of it. And so think about it this way. I mean, have you ever gone to a store and, you engaged, like the grocery store is an example that I have. And one of the reasons I hate going to the grocery store. Hate it. Absolutely hate it. And part of the reason is my engagement and interaction with the people that work there. And it hasn't happened once. It's just happened over a long period of time, many years. I go there and they do not want to do all I'm doing is I got my little cart of groceries. I put it on the belt. They're checking me out. And man, they are not happy to even see me.
Yeah.
Like you get in their lane and they're just like, ugh, What?
Yep.
I got to check you out too. Like, okay.
Yep.
I'm like, nah, that's why I go to the self-checkout lanes as much as possible, because I don't want to deal with them.
Right.
Like, they're miserable to deal with it. But I'm like, do you understand that when your employees hate their job, and I've been there before, you like, so how you doing? You know, you go talk to, hey, how you doing? You know, you go talk to somebody, like they're checking you out. Hey, how's it going? Like, oh, I got 2 more hours and I'm out of here. And you're like, okay, sorry I made your day miserable by my existence here in your
Right. Yeah.
store.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sorry, I'm buying things that help pay your
right,
paycheck.
right. I mean, but this is what you have to understand. All of this goes straight down to the customer.
Yeah.
If you don't make your team feel valued, if you don't make your team feel important, if you don't let them have a voice, if you don't let them feel like they have ownership, if they don't buy into the mission and they're only there because I'm getting a paycheck and I'm doing this because I got to put in my 40 hours so I can get a paycheck so I can pay the rent and buy food and da 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 da, that's it.
Yep.
Man, you've destroyed the value of your business.
You know what's interesting? I was in a workshop with some leaders a few weeks ago, and I saw this statistic another time before this, even that it struck me again was I think it was McKinsey and Company did some research, but it's one of these consulting firms did research, and they said that 85% of frontline workers are not happy and content with their jobs,
Yeah.
whereas the flip is reversed. So it's 85% of like executive and people higher up in the organization are more content and happy with their jobs. And a lot of it, I think, comes down to a few things. One is the people that are higher up in the organization, they've kind of found their sweet spot, what they're excited about, what they're passionate about. They feel like they're working with a mission, right? The frontline people maybe haven't found that yet, or it's not trickling down is one of the biggest things, I think, from the top to the front line. And what's crazy though is how many businesses will not invest in those frontline workers the way that they invest in more like the C-level and mid-level management,
Right.
when they're the actual customer facing people. And so many, like, yeah, at the grocery store, the cashier, yeah, they're making an hourly wage, and the CEO and the VPs and all the higher ups are somewhere else in some corporate space. But who's interacting with the customers? It's not the VP, it's not the CEOs, right?
Right.
And so it's like, are you investing in and taking care of those people that are interacting and engaging with your customers becomes huge in any business. And, and for many small businesses, it's such a small team, right? I mean, you don't need, or you don't have dozens of people or hundreds of people like these big corporations. You're talking about two maybe in a small business.
Right.
And it's like, if you don't have a good culture in that, when you can have truly direct impact on a day-to-day basis, you're in trouble.
Right. Well, and think about it the opposite. Okay. Think about a business that produces a good product, treats their customers well, and everybody's happy and loves to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the opposite, because
Yep.
there is a local Mexican restaurant just down the road from us here.
Mm-hmm.
Has some of the best Mexican food I've ever had in my life.
You frequent it very frequently, don't you? Weekly, maybe?
It is. Well, not every week, but close. Close. But their staff is very, very friendly. They all at this point know us they all know us. Hey, how's it going? They see us, so every once in a while we'll run into them like somewhere not in the store. Hey, come up, hey, how you doing? And like, they all love being there.
Right.
Because they love being there, they treat the customers well. The guy who actually owns the restaurant actually is out right now because he's going through like cancer treatment.
Mm.
The customers are raising money for him.
Oh my gosh.
Because he's out, going through chemotherapy, radiation, all that nasty stuff, trying to get through this cancer that he has.
Yeah.
And there's literally t-shirts being sold. There's customers raising money. All the customers, I've been in the bar in there where the people at the bar all of a sudden stopped everybody and all the customers, and they all like, did something to like had a moment of silence to just like honor the restaurant owner. And I'm like, this is what happens. And do you know how many people we've referred to that restaurant? A lot.
Yeah.
They've gotten a lot of customers.
I know when I've been with you, you've pointed it out to me multiple times.
Right. I mean, we've had many people that went there because of our recommendation. They've gone there and they all said, "This is great. We love it
Mhm.
here." I'm like, and they start going more on too. And you go there on a Friday night, you better get there early because it's
Yeah, to be
chock
packed.
full,
Yeah.
absolutely slammed. And so, but this is my point of all of this. You have an environment where people are valued, where they put great care into their product or their food, in this case, that they're producing. So they
Mhm.
want to make sure, how many times you've been to a restaurant, Chris, where you've been and the food's great. And then one day you show up at the restaurant and you're like, what
Something
happened?
happened. Yeah.
This is not the same food that we ate in the past.
Yeah.
This doesn't taste nearly as good. All of us, they started cutting corners because
Yeah.
the customer became less important. I can make a couple extra bucks if I used all this cheaper ingredients and not.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the customers are going, "Wait a minute,
Mhm.
the quality of this product just nosedived.
Yeah.
I don't want it anymore." And so the product went down, the customer service went down, and you stopped going to that restaurant. It's
Well,
very
here's the thing, it's very hard and, to get new customers, right, comparatively to keep them, and so, if you have happy customers that keep coming back, there's low resistance there, right? There's not a lot of friction between, if you're saying, "Hey, let's go out to dinner on Friday night," or whenever, and you're gonna get good service, great food, all that, and you go there without even thinking twice really, versus, when you're trying to figure out where do we go, and businesses have reputations, right? And what happens, like your wife may say, "Hey, my friend of mine said this place is really good," or you may say, "Well, I heard, driving by, or like, we're not going there because I've heard that place isn't any good." There's a restaurant, it's like a sandwich shop in our community. When we moved to this community over 12 years ago, we went there one time, had bad experience, and have never gone again. And we've told many people, don't go there because it's not
right,
good.
right,
Well, meanwhile, we've had other friends who are like, "Oh, we go there all the time. We like it." I'm like, "Well, I'm glad you do because we're not going back."
right, right.
And so it's this cult, once again, it's a delicate situation to build. That culture is fragile.
right.
It's hard to
And
build
so
and it's easy to lose.
think about it this way as well. Um, Now let's take it to the online coaching in that type of environment because we've been talking about retail world a little bit here, but
Right.
let's take it to that. Let's say you're doing coaching, and let's say you're doing group coaching programs where all the people get online together. People are coming from all over the world and country, and
Mhm.
they're getting on and they're being on coaching calls. And what if your coaching calls are just very boom, boom, just systematic? What's your question? Okay, here it is. Okay, next. Okay,
Mhm.
next. And you just very robotic and very just like
Right. Cold.
non-personal. Here, just what's your problem? Okay, here's how to solve it. Okay, bye. And it's just like you're just widgets. I'm just processing widgets one after another. Or think about it if you have a culture where people get on calls, they get to know each other, they get to learn it from each other, they get to build relationships with each other, they feel like they're heard,
Right.
they feel like they're valued. People all rally around each other. They start investing in each other. They start encouraging each other. They start supporting each other. Then all of a sudden you start hearing words like Design Launch Grow isn't just a coaching group, it's family.
Mhm.
And those are the things we hear from our customers. Like,
Right.
I wouldn't quit this group for anything in the world. This is
Mhm.
my extended family. These
Yeah.
people are incredibly important to me. They are I need these people in my life because they're so important to me. And I look at all this because I'm like, and think about this from a marketing aspect. For you to go out and get a new customer, it usually involves doing some advertising or doing some hustle of
Mhm.
like going out, networking, reaching out to people, doing different things, spending money on ads to try and bring in new customers, to try and get people in. Every time you do that, there's a cost to get a customer to come to you, right? There's
Mhm.
always a cost to do that. And when that happens, you have, money out the door, always spending to get a new customer. Now, if that customer comes in and becomes a repeat customer, so let's say, you spend $30 to get that customer and they spend $100 with you.
Mhm.
Now, let's say they come back and spend another 100 and another 100 and another 100 and over the course of months.
Right.
And they just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. The value of that customer that you spent $30 to get to come in
Right.
has become incredibly valuable. It's like
Sure,
the best $30 you could spend, because now they spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars with you.
Right.
Conversely, if you spend $30, you get someone to come in once or to buy from you once, and they go, ugh, this is not good. I don't
Right.
like it here. And they take off. Now, to get that next $100 in sales, you got to spend another $30.
Right.
This has a huge impact on your bottom line.
Right.
Massive. If people don't want to be with you, like, happy customers come back and keep buying. They keep buying, they keep paying, they keep coming back. They're continuing to invest. They just keep returning.
Right.
You know, I've talked about this sports card shop here in town. I go there, and as soon as I'm there, they're all, hey, how's it going? Like, you know, and if I don't show up for a while, then I almost get like, where you been? Like, like you're missed. like, where have you been? You haven't been around. Like, I was out of town.
Because they built a community dynamic in that culture, right? Like, it's not just about David comes in and buys memorabilia and cards and things, but he's one of us, right? Like, to me, you know, when I've been around people who, and even recently, you know, things I've been a part of, they're like, we just know you genuinely care, right? That care is so important, but it's also very rare in our marketplace today. And I think that, like you said, like with a program, especially when you have a coaching program, you have the greatest opportunity to have that high touch, caring culture because of what you do, right? And so, you know, I heard, I think I remember hearing this for the first time. It was Dan Kennedy in one of his speeches or books. He said, you know, too many people try to get, how do you say it? I always get it backwards. He says, we make a sale to get a customer that we can ultimately bring into our culture, basically. Too many people try to get customers to make sales. And he's like, it's just kind of a flipped mindset, right? He's like, if somebody buys a book or joins a coaching program, that's a sale. But really what I've done is bring in a new customer that then I can nurture that relationship, and, you know, people that have done this well keep, you know, like you said, that first sale or that first lead, you know, what it costs you up front maybe has hundreds, thousands, you know, of dollars of value financially for your business long term. But too many people think, well, I'm just going to keep selling product, and they're not thinking about, okay, if I sell a product to this person, what am I going to do now to keep that customer in my circle, in my business?
Right. And that's exactly it. I mean, you can make business as hard or as easy as you want it to be. If you create a world where, first and foremost, why are you doing the business? Let's just ask that question, because at the baseline, that's where a lot of this starts. Are you doing this business solely because you want to make money, and that's the only thing you care about? Well, then that's going to bleed through everything you do.
Yeah.
If you're doing your business because I love helping people with this, I know that like the guy who's the trainer I work with at the gym loves helping people get healthier, get stronger, get more physically fit, loves it. Absolutely just comes out of his pores. He just loves doing it. And you can tell when you're around him. He loves doing it. He loves showing people like, okay, you need to do this and not this. You should eat that, not the, and just, he just loves doing it. It just is his passion. He loves doing it, and you can feel it. When you ask him a question, it's not a bother.
Right.
You're not annoying him. He's like excited to show you.
Yeah.
And when you approach your business that way, like, I'm so excited. I get to help somebody today. I get to work with somebody, and I get to, you know, make their life better, and I get to help them solve challenges that they're facing. Great. Let's do it. And let's make a difference in their lives.
One thing I'm curious from your perspective too is, as you grow, maintaining and keeping that culture, what it is, if it started healthy, assuming, right? We're assuming that you have a great, you know, your why, your purpose is very evident. You're caring for your people. And let's say you have 10 clients in a group. Well, what happens when you get 100? What happens when you get 200? Or, and to keep, and when you grow, what has been your experience of how you have to keep working harder? Because to keep that culture, right? Because as you grow, that culture, to your point, some of it is that flywheel effect. If it's positive, the customers, the clients, they perpetuate it too. But as a leader, you can't let your foot off the gas, right?
Right. And it all starts from the top and bleeds straight down because you can do it. I mean, my wife used to work for a company that had hundreds and hundreds of people working for them. And the culture of that business when it was going was amazing.
Mm,
And sadly, have it, they destroyed it as well. It was a similar story, but
mm.
they had thousands of customers. They would do these events and rent out like convention centers, have 35,000 of their
Wow.
consultants there, of all their customers that traveled across the country just to be there for that event.
Yeah.
So they had thousands of employees and they had this most amazing culture. Like it was almost a little bit like a cult in a way that if
Yeah.
you attack the company, the customers would defend it.
Yeah.
The customer's like, no, this place is amazing. Don't you dare,
Yeah.
and don't you dare say anything bad about this. We love it here. And so it all comes down to layer upon layer upon layer. You need to treat the people who you're directly working with the utmost respect. You need to encourage them. You need to believe in them. You need to support them. You need to build into them. You need to invest in them. You need to do everything. And then you need to get them to do that to the people that they are having work for them, and layer upon layer and
Yeah.
insert that as your culture and push that all the way through. And if you have somebody that you quickly start sensing, I don't know that this person is really, because there's always every once in a while a snake gets in the garden.
Well, I was gonna say, and it poisons the well, so to speak, really quickly,
Yes,
doesn't it?
there's a snake that'll get into the garden that's not there for the right reasons.
Yeah.
This person is there for very selfish reasons. They have an agenda that's not the mission of the business. It's
Mhm.
an agenda that's very selfish and just about themselves. When you sense it, when you figure it out and you figure out this person's in it for themselves,
Mhm.
get them out.
Yeah, you have to ruthlessly protect, right?
Yes. Yes, 100%. If that person, and and again, it's not always easy. You got to just have your eyes and ears open all the time. You got to be
Mhm.
watching because it is. If
Mhm.
that person gets in, it's just they all of a sudden start spreading things that are unhealthy. They start speaking things to other people on the team that are
Yeah.
not good. They're undermining people. They're bad mouthing people. They're not, because they're trying to make that person look bad so they can look good.
Yeah.
And they're destroying culture instead of building culture. And a lot of times, the way you find out is you hear how other people talk back about them, because they'll
Mhm.
say like, "Yeah, that person. No, we don't like them."
Mhm.
Because they know, they sense it, because they're engaging with that person. They're hearing from them. And they're like, "No, no, you don't want them.
Yeah.
No, that's not a person that should be promoted. That's not a person who should get more responsibility because
Right.
no, it's not good." And then you need to listen to, why are your people saying that?
Yeah.
Because they have a reason. They've seen it. They
Well,
may have had
and
more
as you
interaction
grow,
than you.
right? And as you grow, I heard this one time a leader mentioned at a conference. He said, the higher up you go in the organization as it grows, the less you hear down
Right.
below, right? So
Right.
to
So you
your
got to
point,
trust your people.
you have to be listening to who's down, boots on the ground, so to speak, to really hear what's going on.
And again, that happened in the last business. There was a person who came in who had very, we'll just say, unhealthy motivations.
Mhm.
They were not good. They were all selfish. And there was a lot of deceitfulness in that person. And the people that were on that level that knew that person better were like very negative towards that person. They were like,
Yeah.
no, no, we don't want that. We don't want to work with that person, because
Yeah.
they were trying to nose their way into all these different things. And they were all,
A
nope.
reputation.
Yeah, and they knew that person a lot better than we did. I mean, I certainly didn't know them very well. Well, that
Yeah.
person got in good with my business partner and weaseled their way into all these different things that got into a position of authority and then destroyed everything.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just, you can just see it. It's just like a seed that gets
Yeah.
planted, and if you let it get roots, the
Yeah.
faster you can get it out of there before it gets deep roots,
Yeah.
the better off you're going to be. And so at the end of the day, you got to think about it this way. If you have great people on your team who love being there, they will stay with you for a very long time.
Mhm.
They will stay loyal to you. They will stay committed to you. They will put in extra effort. They will find ways to make things better. They will find ways to make things work more efficiently, to serve the customers better. They will work extra to make this the best possible thing because they love it and they care about it.
Mhm.
If they don't, you're going to have people that just show up for the paycheck. They're going to quit all the time, which is, I see that all the time in other businesses, is people are quitting all the time. So you constantly are going through the hiring process of hiring a new person. Then you got to train them. Then they're around for a few months and they leave. And then you got to hire a new person and train them. And it becomes incredibly expensive. It
Right.
becomes incredibly inefficient. It becomes incredibly
This is draining.
burdensome. It's a
Yeah.
big burden that the business has to have, which if you had a place that people wanted to be and wanted to work, this
Yeah.
wouldn't be happening.
Well, I always say that to leaders when I'm doing workshops or keynote speaking, I say, it doesn't end with you, but it starts with you.
Mhm.
And you have to become that leader and that culture builder that worth following, that people really want to be around. You have to set that tone early. You also have to be very careful, like you said, even in the early days. Who are the people I bring onto my team? Who are the customers I'm actually attracting? They're I one of my earliest clients, I realized quickly he wasn't a good fit for me, and I disengaged with that, in that contract, and I said, this isn't a good fit for either of us,
Right,
because I didn't want more of that. I
right,
and it was painful at the time to let that contract go,
yeah,
but it taught me some lessons about selection of clients and not just accepting anybody that'll pay you, but somebody that truly is going to be a joy to work with, like you said towards the beginning of this, that, you know, and so for me as a coach, I had to realize, okay, I need to do a better job of screening on the front end. A year or so ago, I started a new program, and one of my first things was I invited people into that program that I wanted, that I felt like we were going to be a culture fit for what I ultimately wanted.
right,
And I told them that. I said, look, you're the kind of people, whether you join or not, you're the kind of person, you're the kind of people in this group. I was doing some group calls to promote this, that I want to build a culture around. I want more of you.
right.
And but if I just kind of open it up to anybody and everybody to start, and I just got anybody that would just put their credit card in,
Yep.
and I didn't screen that and didn't,
Transactional.
yeah, very transactional, it wouldn't have started the way that I wanted it to, and it would have perpetuated in a very negative way.
Right.
But, if you want to build a business, and you can do this as a coach, as a consultant, as a trainer, by being very clear on what is the culture you want to
Right.
have in your business. What is it that ultimately would make you get up out of bed every day excited for, I get to work with my
Yeah.
clients today. I get to go to
Yeah.
work with my team today, versus ugh. And that's where a lot of this, comes. That's why people are disengaged employees
Right.
over and over, a time, is the culture isn't right, and therefore people dread getting up to go to work. They dread getting online to do their business. So
100%. If look, at the end of the day, these are the things that a lot of businesses don't want to think about. These are the
mhm,
things that a lot of businesses don't want to put the time and energy into.
mhm,
They want to put all the energy into the, how do we make more sales? How do we make more sales? How do we get more money?
yeah,
And at the end of the day, you're killing. Like it's like pouring water into a bucket and not realizing you have a hole in the bottom of the bucket.
yeah,
So fix the hole,
yeah.
and you won't have to work so hard to put water in the bucket.
Well, I've said this way, no matter what business you're in the people business.
Yeah.
And I don't care what kind of widget you make, if you're a manufacturing company, if you're a restaurant, if you're an online coach, you're in the people business, right? I mean, we coach people that are in that. It's more personal because it is high touch. It's about, course creators, coaches, trainers that are dealing with people more directly. So it's obviously about the people business in many ways there, but any business is still about people, because you have the team members, the employees that are serving your customers, your clients. You have the customers and clients. Yeah, you may have the product or service that people want and need, but it's still people you're engaging with. And culture, the reason why businesses don't do it is it's because it's messy.
Right.
Leading people is hard, it's messy, and it's considered a soft skill, so to speak, but it's so incredibly challenging and
It
hard.
has a huge bottom line impact.
Right. Yeah. And so when people and a lot of leaders struggle to connect those dots, that I talk to, it's
Right.
how does, employee replacement costs are ridiculously high in
Right.
businesses, right?
Right.
But if you backtrack, why am I having to replace employees and why am I having to find new people and go, okay, we need to fix the cause to this effect? It changes the dynamic.
Agree 100%. These are all things that, you know what, it takes a mature person to understand and accept these things. It takes a person who's willing to look in the mirror and say, huh, I need to get better.
Yeah.
As the person who's running the business, I need to get better because I'm the trendsetter. I'm the pace setter for my business.
Mhm.
And if I go and, I have somebody on calls and I'm yelling at them and I'm mad at them because they didn't do what I wanted to do, and I'm only thinking about what I got to get out of this,
Yeah.
you're creating a culture that no one wants to be in.
Right.
And
Well, and a lot
it's
of
going to
people,
affect everything.
yeah, and a lot of people, it isn't even like, and I've experienced this where I actually get more guarded for people than I even like. If you attacked me, yes, I'd be bothered and I'd be upset. But when I see somebody attacking somebody else or causing problems with somebody else, I get even more mad, honestly.
Yeah.
And so that's a culture thing too, right? Like if I don't even have to be the one that's feeling the impact directly, but if I see other people getting hurt or getting pushed aside or getting taken advantage of, there's just something, I don't know if it's the justice, like, desire in me or what it is, but
Right.
it's like, I
So,
don't de yeah, I don't deal with that well, and that's a red flag that immediately starts waving strong in my world where I'm like, "Nope, I don't want I'm seeing where this goes, and I don't wanna be a part of that anymore."
yep. Yep.
And
Agree
we've seen it,
100%.
right? We've seen up close and personal, unfortunately,
Yep.
and, folks, if, this is one of the things we want to help you with our Design Launch Grow program is not just what are the products and services, but all these things we talk about, on this show is these are important dynamics. And what are you trying to build and building a solid foundation in that design phase of your business. And here's the thing, if you've been in business for a while and maybe things have gotten off track, you can get it back on track. But like David said, you have to look in the mirror. You have to go back and say, okay, what do I need to do to have a better end result? What do I need to do to start working better with clients or with my team? Um, Not going to be easy work,
Right.
but it can be recovered and it can change, but it takes intentionality. So
Yep.
if we can help you out, check out designlaunchgrow.com. We'd love to help you look at your business from an objective perspective to help you make sure that you've got the right pieces in place on our roadmap
Right.
to success and help you really think about what kind of culture are you building to help, attract the right kind of customers and clients to your business that you truly enjoy. Because if you don't like your business, your culture will suffer because that attitude will trickle down, right?
Right. Agree 100%.
All right, folks. We hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will see you soon.